Today we are going to spin the record backward, figuratively of course, and dive into one of the weirdest moral panics of the entire 20th century. We're talking about the belief that rock bands were hiding secret, satanic messages in their music. So let's drop the needle on this absolutely bizarre piece of history. I mean, it's a question that sounds like a total urban legend now, right? But for the better part of a decade, people took this deadly seriously. It led to protests, it led to congressional hearings, and it even ended up in a massive, high-profile court case. So I want you to picture this. It's 1982, there's no internet, there's no social media. You hear about this stuff from a friend, or maybe you see a story on some TV special. And the rumor is that one of the biggest rock songs in history is hiding a really dark secret, one you can only find if you physically force the record to spin the wrong way. So where in the world did this all start? Well, it wasn't just a vague idea. It all kicked off with one very specific song and one very, very chilling accusation.
Yep, you heard that right. The big rumor, which got fanned into a flame by televangelists in the early 80s, was that Led Zeppelin's epic masterpiece was actually a secret song for the devil. Now, the band, of course, they completely denied it. They called the whole thing very sad. But the idea, it was just too juicy for people to let go of.
This is what people swore they could hear when they played a certain part of the song in reverse. Now look, if you just listen to the reversed audio, it's a mess. It's just garbled sound. But once someone plants that suggestion in your head, well, your brain is an incredibly powerful thing. And that one little rumor was all it took to set off a huge cultural firestorm.
But see, this rumor didn't just appear out of nowhere. It landed on some really fertile ground, tapping into this much bigger anxiety that was already bubbling up in society. Because this was never really about just one song.
You have to remember, the 1980s were the height of the Satanic Panic. This was a widespread moral hysteria about these supposed secret satanic cults that were infiltrating every part of society. You had daytime talk shows warning people about devil worshippers in daycare centers. So for a lot of people, the idea that Satan was also hiding on their teenagers' records, it didn't seem like that big of a leap. And all of a sudden, it felt like everybody was a detective. People were claiming that if you played Queen's smash hit Another One Bites the Dust backward, you'd hear, "It's fun to smoke marijuana." The Eagles' Hotel California was supposedly a secret tribute to the Church of Satan. I mean, the list just went on and on. A full-blown panic was officially on. And of course, you know who the #1 target was? It was heavy metal. I mean, with album covers featuring demons and skeletons, and lyrics all about darkness and rebellion, bands like Black Sabbath and Iron Maiden, they just fit the bill perfectly. For a lot of worried parents, backmasking was the smoking gun they had been looking for all along. This whole thing kept building and building until it finally came to a head in the most dramatic way you can imagine. Not in a church, not in a talk show, but in an actual court of law. So, in 1990, this panic literally went on trial. The iconic metal band Judas Priest was sued by the families of 2 young men who had tragically attempted suicide, and the lawsuit's claim was absolutely shocking. That a hidden backmasked message that said "do it" in one of their songs was the trigger. The whole trial became a media circus. The band members had to defend not just their music, but the entire genre of heavy metal against accusations of literal mind control. In the end, though, the judge ruled that there was simply no evidence, none, of any intentional secret messages.
And honestly, this quote from Judas Priest's legendary singer, Rob Halford, just perfectly captures how absurd the whole situation was. It really highlights a key point. From a business standpoint, never mind a moral one, the accusations just made absolutely no sense. So, okay, the court case is over, the band is cleared, but the main mystery is still there. If the bands weren't putting messages in the music, then why in the world were so many people hearing them? Well, the answer isn't in the vinyl grooves. It's actually inside our own heads. And this is really the million-dollar question of this whole phenomenon, isn't it? It's easy to just write it all off as mass hysteria, but the truth is way more fascinating. There is a specific, predictable psychological glitch that explains exactly why this happened. The answer has a fancy name: audio pareidolia. See, our brains are basically incredible pattern-finding machines. They are hardwired to look for meaning and order, even where there isn't any. It's the exact same reason you see animals in the clouds or a face on the surface of the moon. Your brain just wants to make sense of random stuff. And here is where the power of suggestion really comes into play. If you play that reversed audio for someone,
and you don't tell them anything, they just hear gibberish, random noise. But the moment you tell them what to listen for, their brain gets to work, desperately trying to find any sound that even remotely matches what you told them to expect.
So here's the real kicker. The messages were never actually on the records to begin with. They were being built in real time, inside the listener's mind. The fear and all those rumors created the suggestion, and our own pattern-seeking brains were more than happy to do the rest of the heavy lifting.
So what happened to this huge, widespread panic? Well, like most moral frenzies, it didn't really end with a bang. It just kind of fizzled out.
And a huge reason for that was, believe it or not, just technology. With the rise of the compact disc in the early 90s, that whole ritual of manually spinning a record backward was just gone. It's a lot harder to go hunting for hidden messages on a shiny new CD.
And pretty soon, the whole thing went from being terrifying to being a total joke. Bands themselves started leaning into how ridiculous it was. The thrash metal band Slayer, who are known for their super dark themes, they intentionally put a backmasked message on one of their albums. And when you played it in reverse, it didn't say to worship Satan. It said, "Join us, share the cookies."
In the end, the Backmasking Panic is this wild story about music, fear, and psychology all crashing into each other. And it kind of makes you wonder, right? What's the scarier thought? That there might be secrets hidden in our music? Or that our own minds are so powerful they can just invent those secrets out of nothing at all?